95-year-olds aren't supposed to die, man.
10-year-olds in cobalt mines.
Oh no, everything's right in the world.
Can we go back to normal, please?
Hello and welcome to the What Did I Miss podcast, the show where we each take turns avoiding all news and social media for 1 week. The other person then fills them in on what they've missed. My name's Tyg, and this week I fill Matt in on a teenager in England who just woke up from a coma with no idea there was a pandemic. A 9-year-old girl in handcuffs was bravely pepper sprayed by US police. A baby was tragically killed during a baptism in Romania. Amazon has been stealing their drivers' tips. And a 95-year-old Nazi is being tried in a juvenile court. All this and much more coming up.
Hello folks, welcome back to another episode of the What Did I Miss podcast.
How are you doing?
My name is Matt and Tyg's hosting the episode this week.
Sure.
He's not a crack. I've been off the news for the last week and Tyg's going to fill us in. So, you have a good week?
It's good, yeah. A lot of funny stories. Interesting. Maybe not always funny. You know, the news sometimes a bit macabre.
We do our best. We do our best.
And just before we get in, this is a warning we never do, but we like to curse a lot. Just for any new listeners, it can be jarring on the ears.
We noticed that a lot of cunts last week.
I said cunt a lot last week. Well, we say it all the time. Especially for American listeners who aren't really familiar with Irish vocabulary. Like, it's an interchangeable word, you know. It doesn't always mean necessarily a bad thing. You could literally just say a person, but you say some cunt.
If you say I seen some cunt walking down the road, for me that means I just seen some random person.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about their character or who they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Specifically means a man though. You wouldn't, if you say I seen some cunt, you wouldn't be talking about a woman.
Good point. I never thought about it like that.
If you say I seen some cunt and you're talking about a woman, then it's definitely an insult.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good point. So now you know. Now you're all caught up.
Curse away, Toy. Curse away.
Alright, you cunts. What we have this week is, like we done last week, I have taken all the possible topics for today's episode and wrote them on a whiteboard beside us that we will post online. It will be available on our Instagram page. And Matt's going to read them out now for the first time. So Matt, do you want to read out the headlines?
These are the headlines from last week. Just the tip. One last case. Is he 2 days away from retirement, is he? What the Chuck. 51st state. At least he was baptized. Oh, that sounds like a baby died somewhere. Sounds fun. Snowwhere to go. Game on. Hope that's still at GameStop, because I would like an update from GameStop from last week. Forever Young, In Your Eyeballs, Screeching Halt, Children of Men, and I Spy. I think that's one or two more.
So yeah, that's most of our topics. And if we don't get to a topic that we called out here, it maybe just wasn't that good, or we had to cut it for time wise.
I'm going to start with Children of Men. I remember the film, which is about all of a sudden nobody can have kids anymore. And what's his name?
I knew you were going to ask me his name and I forgot to look it up.
Some shy actor.
Yeah,
he has to save the day. That's all I remember. I remember got really good reviews, but not enjoying it. But it was like, it's over 10 years old, so I really don't remember.
Spoiler, it's a decent concept, and then the film kind of fizzles out, if I remember correctly. But the film is about just all of a sudden no one can have kids.
Yeah. Is that what's going on? Did I miss something this week?
No, just some results have come out about the vaccines.
And fertilisation, is it? It's good, because I was thinking of getting a vasectomy, so I'll just get a vaccine instead.
Yeah, 2 in 1. Yeah, so all it is studies came out, one in China and then complementary studies in Germany and I want to say India, but basically that it's showing, the vaccines are showing signs of fucking up people's sperm, making them like 3 times slower, like inflammation in the balls.
What if that's the big play? Say there is a big play here. Because like, if there's, I think it's Bill. If I'm not, I hate you like bringing up Bill Gates, because he's like the boogeyman of like the vaccine movement, you know. But Was he not giving out about overpopulation? Was that not his big thing up till like 2015, and then he decided to go on to vaccines?
Big thing.
So why is he so like? Hang on, so if you're so worried about overpopulation, why are you making sure everyone's getting vaccinated and saving all these lives? You know,
it's a good point. You know, you'd think he'd want something like this to naturally take out a lot of people.
Quite convenient, Bill.
I think the problem with this is that it's taking out old people. Bill wants to get rid of the young, and you know
those young Chinese and African kids. Gotta get rid of them.
Just to get up exactly what it says here, just about these vaccines, it says they found that inflammation and cellular stress were twice as severe in COVID-19 positive group. You know, they done control tests, and yeah, the infected sperm was 3 times lower. Sperm counts were dramatically lower as well. So it intended to improve over time, but even with the limited time it's been out, people are still showing severe reactions for as long as they were.
Was this study done shortly after they got vaccinated? Because it could be, maybe it's a low, you know, and that's, you know, maybe it dips and then it comes back to normal over a certain amount of time.
Well, because there hasn't been enough time, so it definitely does dip, you know. Yeah, so it's a worrying sign. Very worrying.
It's true, but in the same vein that there's a lot of overly positive articles and news stories about the vaccine trying to encourage everyone to take it, you're also going to get the counter of that. You know what I mean? It's just kind of too soon to say. Not saying that isn't alarming, I will. Before I get it, I'll check what the latest studies say.
Yeah. It just adds to the long-term effect idea. You know, you have to see what the long-term effects are. Nobody knows. And at the same time this week, Switzerland, and that's why I had India in my head, sorry, it was Iran that conducted one of these studies as well. Iran, Germany and China.
Sounds like an axis of evil.
Yeah. The 2021 new axis.
Yeah. States are just like...
The reason I said India was they said they needed more data, and so did Switzerland. They wouldn't approve the vaccines. They said it needs more data. It's not sufficient
all
enough.
Them are...
Yeah.
Really?
And,
Switzerland's interesting.
I don't know about all of them actually. Yep. Because there's so many now. Fucking Sputnik's good now. The Russian vaccine's good. Everyone's happy about
Once
that.
Once they bought all the Western ones first, and now it's like
probably yeah. And now they're like, oh shit, this one's actually pretty good. Yeah. So even with India specifically, it was Pfizer, and they said no, we need more data, and Pfizer's like, all right, we're out.
Really? Yeah. How dare you ask for more data?
Yeah.
I didn't talk about it last week because there was enough talk about it without getting onto the vaccines, but Germany didn't approve the AstraZeneca one for over 65s.
Yeah.
Because they said there's not enough data on over 65s, and then their initial results with over 65s was worrying, you know.
Yeah.
It's like because they were having shit reactions, because all the tests were done by like
young people,
20-year-old marathon runners, you know.
Yeah.
But then the EU came out a couple of days later and was like, no, on second inspection, Germany's wrong. It's grand for everybody. And then Germany's like, yeah, we're still not. You know what I mean? Like, so...
I'm not going to lie, I was hoping that you wouldn't pick that one first. But
okay, well, we can move on swiftly, because I didn't want to start with vaccines either.
No.
Just a tip. I'm hoping that's funny.
Just a tip? Yes, it was Amazon stealing they were stealing their drivers' tips.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Amazon is the best. I didn't even talk.
Cowboys.
Before you get into this story, there was one last week that we did. I didn't have time to talk about, but you know, Amazon cracks down on unions so much.
Yeah.
They somehow some of their workers managed to organise a union vote, but Amazon wouldn't let them do mail-in voting because it was too unreliable.
Fuck off.
Especially right after the election, and like Bezos owns the Washington Post, which is super left-leaning, and they were obviously for the whole fucking last year saying it was just ridiculous to even question mail-in ballots, and then everyone in the union vote had to vote in person. Now, I didn't actually get to the vote before my week off, so I don't know how it went, but
I seen that came up, something about they busted it, but I didn't it wasn't titillating me enough to look into it.
Yeah, so Bezos needed these few dollars.
He's quitting, did you see that?
Quitting?
He's stepping down.
I'm not letting Bill Gates control the world, it's my turn.
Yeah,
you're not the richest man in the world anymore, Bill. So I need to see.
I can't remember exactly his reasons, but it was just interesting. So yeah, Amazon, they got fined 61.7 million for stealing their drivers' tips. Now the reason they outsourced their drivers, and they were giving them like a good wage, like between $15 and $20 or something, plus the tips. But then what they did was they lowered their wages and made up the difference with the tips that they were getting. So they're still getting the same wage, but they weren't getting any tips, even though it says on the website they're getting, like it says the drivers receive 100% of the tips.
That's what I love about, and not to get too philosophical on the difference between capitalism and other forms of isms, but like the richest company in the world, I don't know if they're the richest, but they're up there. And to just be like, where can we squeeze a little more juice? You know what I mean? Like, we can make an extra $1 on every truck driver. You know what I mean? I fucking hate that.
Best part about the fine though is that they were found to have robbed over 62 million, and then they got fined 61.7 million. Like they didn't even lose. They didn't even lose money. Like
0.3 for legal costs.
Yeah,
it's an absolute farce.
Like usually they give them like 61 million would be a slap on the wrist anyway. But then if it's like they didn't even lose any money,
come on, what's to discourage them from doing that again? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we might as well just do it till we get caught, which is most big corporations' game plan with anything, you know.
Yeah,
we can just pay the fines. But it's like, and I seen last week as well, Apple made 111 billion in 1 quarter, so in 3 months profit, biggest profit they've ever made, and did in the last 3 months, and they still use child labour. You know what I mean? Like, you're not getting fucking...
Where did they use the child labour though?
In China and all that place. Well, supposedly, it's an interconnected global distribution network, so your cobalt comes from child mining.
That's what I knew, the cobalt and all, but that's not necessarily Apple's fault, you know what I mean?
Okay, well
they could try sort it out.
Maybe the people they have working in their factories in China are over 18, but they still have those nets to catch them from dying. Is more my point. Yeah. Instead of giving all the cunts the cool offices in Dublin, give them cunts in China a fucking pool table and some fucking Capri Suns in the fridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, where's their slide?
Yeah.
You know, because in the offices in Dublin.
If you want to kill yourself, don't jump on the balcony. Use the slide. It's dark. Like, you know, you always thought, like, you know, you get new runners or something. Someone makes a joke about child labour, and you just go,
yeah.
Let me just go on with our day.
Most people don't laugh at that, Matt, but now we know that you do. It cracks me up every time.
The only reason I buy new runners.
Imagine they, you know, when you sponsor a wild animal, they'll send you pictures of a wild animal. Imagine if Amazon or Nike with your iPhone or your new runners were sending you a picture of little Juan and his, you know,
his bloody fingers.
Yeah, his bloody fingers. He stitched them today. And every day since he's been born.
I like about doing it the other way around. Like, if sending pictures of me to the poor kids with my new like kicks on, you know.
Yeah.
Skateboarding down Daytona Beach or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever people do in the Western world. Oh, I'm so happy to see Matt.
Yeah, so glad Matt's doing well. I was worried about him. He walks on with bare feet over broken glass.
Yeah.
Hot broken glass.
What's wrong, Juan? It's like, oh, Matt didn't get the colour he wanted in his shoes. Oh, anyway, so what happened? Oh, yeah, they robbed the tips.
Yeah, that's all there really was on that. They robbed the tips. They were kind of pricks.
Why is Bezos stepping down?
I didn't see. I think
I've always said this. I was like, why would you make that much money and not retire? As soon as I make 10 billion...
As soon as, like, it's a guarantee.
I'd say it'll take about 6 more years.
Let me see. Joe Rogan made 100 million in... what was it, 10 years? 15?
Yeah, but he's shy. But what was I going to say? Yeah, look, what do you get out of it? You know, like Mark Zuckerberg, we had fucking headaches and congressional meetings and having to organise free speech. Just sell it. Except for the fact that he's a robot. There's no other reason for him to own that company.
Yeah, no, I've thought that, but the argument for that playing devil's advocate would be that that's why you don't have one of these companies.
True.
You lazy prick.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Yeah. Good response. I just shattered all your dreams and your only answer was, meh.
It's like my voice was depressed. You're never going to be a billionaire.
It's because you'll sell it. You'll be like, you were there like on Dragon's Den, or like, I'll give you 20 million. No, 10. You know what I mean? You argue down for yourself. I only want 10. I'm not greedy like Mark Zuckerberg.
10 billion or 20. Right, where to next?
Once again, I'll leave the board wide open for you.
See, this is the thing about me. You know, I like dark subjects. So I'm gonna have to go for at least he was baptized. Very aware that we're probably going to be talking about like infant mortality.
Yeah, spot on.
Yes, my favorite subject. We never get to talk about infant mortality.
This is why we cut some subjects.
Every week, Toy gives out to me because I talk about infant mortality and he cuts it out in post. So, just laughing and I know it's going to be about. Come on.
In Romania. I was waiting to see your face. I knew you'd laugh a little. You held it back there for just people who are listening, which is everyone, because we don't have video set up yet.
Okay.
So yeah, in Romania they have their process
Sorry, just we're moving on to this after me laughing at child labourers.
Yeah, it's not the most empathetic I've seen you, but sure, it's funny.
So we're all about the humour on this show, if you haven't learned that by now.
So yeah,
so that's why we're going to talk about dead babies.
It's just a dead baby, if that makes you feel better. Or does that make it less funny?
Makes it more personal. Do you ever hear that theory, like people get more upset about one dead person than 100? You know, because 100 then it's a statistic. Where one dead person, it's Charles or whoever, you know what I mean? Like they get
Prince Charles.
They have it now, hopefully.
Yeah, I can see the logic in that. So in Romania, they have the process when they baptise kids. In Ireland, they just pour a little bit over the head, put in.
Didn't kill them.
In Romania,
dipping them in.
Yeah, in Romania they dunk them down 3 times.
Oh.
So the kids, only 6 weeks old, he had a heart attack.
Fuck off.
Yeah, and apparently it's happened a fair bit in fucking Romania.
Because you see them videos on social media, like
they don't mess around.
I think they do it like Russia and stuff as well. Like
the real orthodox.
Yeah, dip them down.
Yeah, like it's not even dips, like fucking milling their heads down. Like.
Literally before I came around here, a Nirvana song came on me Spotify, you know, from their first album, with the baby in the water. And I was just thinking, I was like, you know, because you see people doing that, just tossing their baby into the pool. Like, and then I meant to give it, because I remember hearing somewhere, I don't know if it is true, but that they have an automatic reflex where they'll hold their breath, you know.
I swear I've seen that only recently myself. I don't know if I came across the same information, but I definitely did. Like, yeah, babies have a built-in thing.
Yeah, well, this
not if you're holding the fucking head
down,
like the priest.
This fucks up that theory.
And so there's been, you know, Romania's gone, a lot of people giving out about it, but basically the Archbishop of Romania, or whatever the official title is,
just relax, we've been killing babies for centuries.
Yeah, he just said no, basically no, it's not going to change. And Romania's like Ireland was about 50 years ago, you know, it's religious as fuck. So like 80% of them are religious.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
so they're like, oh, the priest or the archbishop said, we'll keep killing babies, so that's cool. So yeah, that was nice and light.
Yeah, alright, I'm going to let you pick the next one.
Some light entertainment. Snowwhere to go.
Someone trapped in the snow.
Exactly.
In America, is it?
Yeah, always.
The one bit of news I heard is because it was a little bit of snow today, and my dad was like, "Oh, you should see in America, it's -40 or something." He was saying.
So a woman last week was sleeping in her van, and there was a lot of snow around that time last week in America. So the plough trucks came along the road, and they swept along the side. They trapped her in.
Yeah.
And she's 77, like.
Jeez.
So she starts beeping on the horn, but everyone just ignored her. I don't know, there wouldn't have been many people in the street, and so she decided to call the police. The police answered, you know, and they said, "I would be right there," but she gave them the wrong address. So then they showed up at the address, and you know, they didn't know where she was, so they just rang her back, but she didn't answer. And then I think her phone died or something. So yeah, she was just trapped. She ended up being trapped in there for 4 days.
What? How did she not freeze today?
She lives out of her van. So,
you know,
she's I think she's homeless. They said she doesn't stay in the shelters because she's afraid of them. I'm looking now, how the fuck did she get found? Sorry, she didn't run out of credit. This is the gap in the story I forgot about. She managed to call the fire department at 9:30 on Thursday. So this is the part I forgot about this. So her phone was working the whole time, so she rang the police. the police didn't show up.
Yeah.
They rang her, she missed it. She didn't call them back, so I don't know if she's like not tech savvy. But what I like to think is that she's a polite old woman, and it's like, I don't know what bothered them. They're busy. It's snowing, you know. They'll come. So yeah, she finally the fire brigade came at 9:30 on Thursday. So full 4 days locked in the van, like.
Fucking, how'd they find her? Was she alright?
Yeah, she was grand.
Sounds like it. She's a hardy bitch. She's used to it.
Yeah, could have done longer.
There's a lot of stories of that. Just, you know, it's pretty dangerous getting caught in a snowstorm like that. And, if it's that bad, it can last for days, and then you're just fucking.
Yeah, just fucked.
It happens a lot as well if snow comes like that late at night, and then say it's there for a couple of weeks, or even can be months, like, and then before the snow finally melts, and then there's a fucking body underneath it. If someone just fell over. Yeah. I'm hearing stories like that when we live in Toronto, like, you know, just be random, just fucking fall, go home drunk, like, and
fall, knock your head, and then you're done so.
Yeah. Or even, you don't even knock your head, just even, you know, stumble over, and then you get too cold, and then before you get home, you're fucking, you know, hypothermia setting in. Dangerous, you know, you don't really think of it. But
yeah, we're meant to have snow today in Ireland, but it hasn't showed up.
There was a couple of flakes earlier.
Yeah. They were like, it's hyperbole with the news in Ireland. It's probably like that everywhere, but it's like, Beast from the East is a famous Irish storm we had a couple of years ago, so Beast from the East 2.0 gets put in the paper almost every week. Beast from the East 2.0 coming next week, or coming the week after.
If there's a potential for sleet, they'll say it's so annoying, like it's...
I wouldn't mind when my dad eats it up. My dad loves it, and he's like, oh, it's gonna be fucking Armageddon next week. The day after tomorrow. Yeah,
it was only a few months ago I came back to the house, and it was a proper storm. Not snowstorm, but like windy, rain and all, you know. And I was walking back to my mates, and literally fucking raining sideways. Oh, you know where I'm leaning forward at 45-degree angle. Come home absolutely fucking drenched. He's sitting at the back door having a smoke, you know, and I was like, fucking hell, some weather out there. And he's like, nah, storm's gonna hit tomorrow. Just, you know what I mean? Like, it's so emblematic of the problem of just living through your phone, you know, that kind of way. Like, so
it's also old people in the weather. They're fascinated by it. It's like a moth with a bright light.
I think, is that old people's job to be weather predictors? You know, like back in the day when you lived tribally, like, who knows more about the weather than the old person? Nobody.
Yeah.
So just naturally fall into their place.
If that was the case, Dad would be sacked as the weatherman, because he's not.
He'd always be battening down the hatches.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to move 5 feet without like, no, it's gonna be real bad.
Well, that was a crap story. What the Chuck is where we're going next.
What the Chuck? So in Texas, they have Amber Alerts that they issue when a child goes missing, and they have a test one that they do just for showing people like how it works, like, you know, their training staff and stuff. So they had Chucky the doll and someone else in the movie, and so they posted that, and they sent it out 3 times. So it go like, and this goes to everyone, you know, in Texas.
Chucky's on the loose, like.
Yeah, basically, you know, it has Chucky's the suspect, and then the abducted child is called Glenn, who's also from the movie. You know, is also a horror doll. I'm not too familiar with the films, more just the character. So you got like Glenn, 5 years old, red hair, height 2'3". You know, just the normal stuff you'll see. And then, you know, Chucky's the same, 28 years, red hair, 3'1", race, other doll.
So was he found?
He was.
What, did they actually put a doll out? Like,
no, it was a malfunction of their thing.
Yeah.
So they just sent it out by mistake, you know.
Do
you want to do something with that, man?
I find it hard because I read your next thing I had underneath it.
Did you?
Yeah.
I wanted to surprise you with that one.
I do find that very interesting. I'd like to go to the next one.
Fuck that shit.
Can't say it now.
You might as well say it on the podcast. Matt's saying it. We'll just quickly move on to the next one because there's nothing in that. Yeah. So Matt just saying that.
Well, yeah, I was just reading the profile on Chucky there, and I seen Tyke's next note.
I scrolled down too far on my Word document, so I showed him that
Dusty Diamond, which is a great fucking name.
Yeah, it is. Dustin Screech Diamond died at 44.
So that's the headline, Screeching Halt, I'm guessing. So
yeah, Screeching
car
Halt.
accident, was it?
No, Well, it's just because his name's Screech and he came to a halt.
Alright. Very
Yeah.
insensitive. I'm joking, I love a bit of insensitivity. Can I just, what do I know about Dustin Diamond? He's been a real character since Saved by the Bell.
You don't have to go straight into all his mishaps after
But
after
he
being
ended
a
up doing
child
like
star.
wrestling. I think
Yeah,
he
he
did
done
porn
wrestling.
at one stage.
He made
Big
like
on steroids and everything.
he made a celebrity porn tape, which is gas, and then he said it wasn't him.
Because it'd be very hard to be famous as Screech, you know.
Very
the
hard.
dorky loser, and then
Yeah,
carrying on from that.
Yeah, that's why I always, whenever I heard of his indiscretions, what would you call them?
Indiscretions. No.
All the shit he got up to after he finished Saved by the Bell, I always just felt a bit bad for him. But then I found out his name was Dustin Diamond, and I was like, he was always going to get into porn.
Always.
Porn was his calling.
Oh, I've got a Dusty Diamond here and he's a polishing.
Saved by the Bell was just a stopgap to get him to porn, like it's to fulfill his true potential.
Yeah.
He was also in jail for like 3 months for stabbing someone.
I think I heard that as well, yeah.
So he's had a colourful
Colourful life, but how did it end?
cancer.
Ooh,
Just got him real quick.
really, eh?
Yeah.
That's shit.
Yeah.
What shit stories.
I
What type of cancer?
don't know, the one that kills you. Fine, I have it here.
Prostate, probably was that young.
No, I didn't have it in, but he was in Celebrity Big Brother in 2013. Actually, I think it might have been in the throat.
Really, eh?
Maybe because he was screeching.
You know,
Screeching too
Killed
much.
by the Bell. Why didn't you call it Killed by the Bell?
Oh, that's better. I knew there was something in there with the bell. I just couldn't think of a catchy name with the bell. So yeah, R.I.P. Screech.
Yeah.
We hardly knew he. Yeah.
So what day is it, Tyke?
Cross a few of them
I'm
out.
gonna go for the headline. You boy, what day is it?
That was some cunt in England fell into a coma 10 months ago, and he woke up and he didn't know what the pandemic was.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
That's like, you know the pandemic's gonna be so shit and boring, you just pretend to be in a coma for 10 minutes just for the attention. Like, whoa.
Let me set the picture here. So he's 19 and he gets hit by the car, and then he wakes up and he still hasn't seen his family, and he's been awake for like a week.
Where were they?
Because it's COVID. So,
Oh, fuck off.
so
If
he
you're gonna let anyone in, let fucking people who just had their son in a coma for 10 months go fucking say hi to him. Fuck.
Matt,
Oh, sorry, how dare I? How dare
95-year-olds are dying, man.
I?
How dare you? How dare you? 95-year-olds aren't supposed to die, man.
10-year-olds in cobalt mines.
Oh no, everything's right in the world.
Can we go back to normal, please? Damn you. So
So he gets hit by a car, and it's 10 months.
was he in a car?
No, I think he just got hit by one. But yeah, imagine that waking up. You
Yeah,
never heard the pandemic, and next thing you're looking at your family in screens. You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And he's pretty fuckly. He started to get his movement back, but when he first woke up, he can't really move. He's just
Cunts in spacesuits coming
Just-
over to say hi, you know.
exactly like
Jesus.
they're like, here, yeah.
Do you have a dry cough?
Well, he caught COVID twice.
Did he?
Yeah, he
Of
caught
course he did. Oh, we need an extra one for the numbers.
That's it, yeah.
All these coma patients keep getting. I've got COVID like 7 times. What's going on? Fucking hell, looking at people through screens and all. This
Waking up to see it, and then they would have the full. I'm guessing the nurses and all, like you said, have the full spacesuits on.
Yeah.
Wild. Well, if you're gonna be in a coma, you might as well do it during the pandemic. Like,
Great time to be in a coma. Good point.
wish I was in a coma.
I was thinking of this, right? My mum, you know, and this conversation's come up a couple of times. You know, my mum was there the other day and she's like, oh, it's so weird living through history, you know? It's like, this is, when you look at history of 500 years, it's going to be like World War II, the pandemic, you know what I mean? Like, very little.
Cold War in between, but yeah,
Damn, because
it's not as big as this. This is bigger than the Cold War.
this is what I mean. So this technically we're living through history. And then I was just like, and what I said to her, you know, automatic response, oh, thank fuck, I'll take this over World War II any day, because, like, you know what I mean? It's not that bad. You can sit at home, you can watch Netflix, smoke a little weed, have a few drinks or whatever. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, is this better than World War II? Because at least World War II, you go hang around with your mates, like, go have a drink and have a pub and be like even. So then I took it a step further. Where was the worst place to live in World War II? London during the Blitzkrieg, probably.
Poland.
Bar Poland and France or Germany, where the war was actually happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're actually a little separated, but in London they had the air raids.
Oh yeah, did you ever hear about I think it's called the B-23 bomber. Might be getting the name wrong, but the Germans were in the process and they were pretty close to building it, and it was it was basically a cannon that they were gonna have across the fucking channel that was just gonna bomb London, like just a massive cannon that would shoot something like 50, however many miles, like 100 miles or whatever it is across to London, and like they're gonna rain them down, like they're saying it might change the war, like it was that big a deal.
Like, I think I remember seeing the documentary on that.
Imagine if you knew that was coming, like.
Oh, you'd be shitting. But even like, you still would be shitting, like, it would be horrible. Because, they had the air raids going every night. Like, there was one period where it was like 70-something days in a row. Every night there was air raids, But 70,000 civilians died in the UK from the war. Not including, like, over 300,000 who died. But so more people have died from COVID is one thing, And then...
Yeah, but this is... This 70,000 people getting directly bombed, you know what I mean? This isn't like someone dies in a car crash and then passes the PCR test and gets said he had COVID, so he dies of COVID, you know.
We're not having fudging the numbers here, we're just talking if you take the numbers at face value. Okay. And what's a better way to die? A bomb drops in your head and you die pretty much instantly, or wheezing to death with your family not around you, you know what I mean? Like the more I thought...
the more I thought... I don't want to get bombed with my family around me because then they'd all die as well, you know what I mean? I'm dead, who cares?
Yeah, taking them with me.
Yeah, I suppose you can still go to the pub. And
there's more crack about it though.
There's more jobs.
More women.
Yeah.
But no, it's alright.
But all the real men are out fighting the war.
This is a real thing that I don't think people will really accept, but like you have all day, like clear skies, you're pretty much alright, and then at night time the air raids come, you're afraid, but then it's over, it's released and you're all in it together. But like at the minute it's just been 10 months of, don't come near me, is he breathing on me, stand back 2 meters, everybody, nobody in your house, no drinks, no pub. Like the more I think about it, fuck this, send me back to World War II.
This is the worst time in history. Matt wishes he was in the trenches at World War One. Now there's a place to be.
I know this. I want to make the clear distinction between being a soldier and a civilian in both of these.
Yeah, be a civilian. I'd like to be a civilian in America. That'd be good crack. I'd be fucking working away. And then I don't know. I'd be good anywhere. I don't know why I said America.
It was just a great time. We need a trilogy to this.
Nobody's worrying about the environment or any of that bullshit. You got the Germans to worry about.
You have real problems.
But also imagine that, like, you're also worried that Germany's going to invade. You know what I mean?
I'm worried about the coronavirus going to mutate and become an actual virus.
What I mean is, you could, like, you only have to worry at night, but just go back to your original point. Just say you're in England, just living near the south coast. Like, Germans could rock up fucking any day.
Yeah.
Maybe not any day. They might have a bit of advance warning, but you know what I mean. But anyway, I think we'll move on from that. What's your favourite disaster time to live through history? Let us know. Do you want to get into the shenanigans with GameStop?
Is that what we have game on? I was just about to ask. That's what's going to go next. I really do. What is the correct? Because I know we talked about it, we bigged it up, but...
There are not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4.
16 lawsuits.
7 movies in the works, including HBO and a load of other ones.
Fuck off.
Yeah, literally 7.
Fuck off.
Not even messing.
That's so weird. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, it's over, so let's make a movie about what just happened instead of... You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna blame movie companies for jumping on it and trying to get the story, but the reason I was interested to talk about this is because the story is not even nearly over. It was only starting last week, like. So did anything happen this week? Are stocks still up and down, or
GameStop went up again, but now it's back down.
Leveled out.
Yeah.
Are they still cutting off the
no,
stock
Robinhood's opened it up. Robinhood's they're letting anyone trade. And then that's really it. Like, in terms of GameStop and Robinhood, I haven't seen any lawsuits or anything. It's actually been quite quiet on it. There hasn't been that much.
I said it's all behind the scenes. Have they said they mentioned anything about legislation or any address to this, like, so it doesn't happen again?
I haven't seen it now.
News stories don't go longer than 1 week.
They really don't.
They
Like,
really don't.
A story that they're going to make 7 movies about. And then this week there was literally fuck all on it. I had to look up GameStop because I knew you were going to ask me about it.
Who's the main character in that? Are they gonna like, oh, here's Reddit, you know what I mean? Like, here's one guy. You know, it's not very.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not a character-driven story, should we say?
And especially if there's a race to get it all out first, like,
Mm.
it's gonna be shit, but you got a good chance of it.
Is that what's going to happen like the vaccine? It's like, oh, we got the Pfizer movie and we got the AstraZeneca GameStop movie, you know? This one's 60% shy. No, this one's 70% shy.
Actually, on second review, on second watch.
Over 65 should not watch this film. Yeah, that's disappointing. I was really hoping, because it was a real positive story at the start of 2021. I was like, are things going to change? No.
I doubt it. And I seen something come out and it was saying, when you look at all the stocks that were bought by your average retailer, like GameStop, for the month of January, didn't actually even end up in the top 10.
Really?
Because once it started, loads of your traditional hedge funds and stuff jumped on and they bought all the stocks as well, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I think, this was just one article I seen, so not saying this is 100%, but, you know, there was a lot of, it was made out to be more like the little guy than it maybe necessarily was, like the Kickstart was.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But yeah, they were saying that, you know, a lot of the buying as it was starting to go up was just the computers that they have. Once they see that trend, like, they just automatically start buying it, you know,
exactly,
or selling it or whatever the fuck they're doing.
But no, there was a different jump this week, and it was Elon Musk, always up to some shenanigans.
Mm.
But first off, this week SpaceX done another crash landing.
Crash landing.
You know a SpaceX thing to try to go to Mars, so they're trying to get the rockets to come back down and be reusable. But when they're coming back down, they keep crashing.
I thought they done that successfully, you know.
They have loads of times, but this is just another example of it crashing.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Not a big deal at all. So Elon Musk just tweets DOGE, which is up for interpretation of how it's pronounced, but it's like could be pronounced Dodge or Doggy.
That's the first thing was
Doggy.
Giving a shout out to all his dogs out there.
Yeah. Now there's a thing called Doggy Coin. It was like your man made it as a joke of crypto in like 2013. So Elon Musk, not even sure why, but he just tweeted Doggy.
He loves fucking with the markets.
Exactly.
He just loves his power, like, kind of in that sense, you know.
Definitely. So that goes through the roof. Like, it goes 10 times the price that it was before. Like, you know, keeping in mind that GameStop went 14 times as much?
Yeah, like 800% or something, maybe like 8 or 9 times.
Well, then this might even be more. We went up a fuckload anyway. So what Doggy Coin is have you ever seen the meme? There's this famous meme of a dog's face. You'd recognise the dog if you've seen it. If anyone wants to Google it, you can Google Doggy Coin. But so the cryptocurrency is just a complete piss take. It wasn't designed to be taken seriously. And in the 7 years that it's been on the market, it hasn't. But obviously Elon Musk says that it goes through the roof. So Elon Musk then tweets a picture of himself as Mufasa in The Lion King holding up the picture of this meme dog. Then he tweeted, Doggy Coin is the people's crypto. Then, like, you know, I don't know if it's the next day or soon after, he goes, no high, no lows, only doggy. Then the weirdest one, then he tweeted, I am become meme, comma, destroyer of shorts.
Oh, short stocks?
Yeah, I think so. But like, it's terrible grammar. That's exactly how it's tweeted. I am become meme, destroyer of shorts. And then he done a poll. It's like the future currency of Earth. Doggy Coin to the moon. All other crypto combined. Like, he's just purely taking the piss. Like, he's just having a laugh with the whole thing that happened the previous week with GameStop. Decided he'd jump in on the action. I don't know where that, like, does that count as manipulation? Say if he buys a lot of Doggy Coin and he just writes Doggy, D-O-G. If he just tweets one Doggy, is that...
I don't think so, because it's not... It wouldn't be illegal to advertise that you've invested in a company. But he did get in trouble for something for a tweet he did. Like, what did he do? He tweeted out something about a contract that he hadn't actually signed yet, but it looked like he was going to sign with either the government or some massive contract, which would... So Tesla's stock skyrocketed. And I remember they got a big fine for that, or we're gonna get a big fine, you know. So he has gone in trouble before. Even like when he appeared on Joe Rogan, the stock went down like 20%. Like he lost like $1 billion.
It bounced back.
Yeah, it bounced back. That's why he doesn't care. That's why he's laughing at stocks. And he was loving it last week. All the GameStop stuff is like, especially because you're the richest person, especially like most of it in stock. He, I suppose you'd think he'd have more of a vested interest, but he knows how much of it all is a game, you know.
That's it.
He's like, the fucking rich person on Earth, I'm going to be the rich person on Mars. Right,
so, yeah, we can go on to whatever you want.
What's going on in Myanmar? It's not your Mar, it's Myanmar.
That was my favourite headline of the week. Just, well, of the headlines I wrote myself.
They are all pretty shit, you're right.
Well, absolute bangers. For especially American listeners, you probably don't know what my wadi is. I'll explain Myanmar after. I'll explain the headline first.
You don't need it. If you need to explain your headline, it's a shit headline. Right?
No, it's not. People in the UK are loving it. Loving it. So the ad goes, it's my wadi, it's a dilute drink. Which this is what I was thinking earlier. Do Americans even have dilute drinks?
I don't think so, because too much water in it.
There's no water in it.
But dilute your water.
Until you add it in.
Of course, you're not going to drink straight concentrate. Like.
Well, you don't boil the water, you add the water.
Yeah, that's why they don't drink it, because there's too much water in it. You get onto the store.
You can put in as much water as you want.
Yeah. So I don't bother drinking it because there's too much water in it.
Okay, even a little bit. So it's a dilute drink, and they had an ad saying, it's not your waddy, it's my waddy. Now that we're all caught up.
Yeah, now that you've all understood and Tyga's explained his joke, we'll get on to the actual story.
Yeah.
But you want to go around that one more time?
Some people call dilute cordial. Which I didn't know. I was working in the Shelbourne Hotel and my boss asked me.
Keep going around.
Well, you asked, right? You asked. So the boss asked me to get some cordial. I didn't know what cordial was. The hilarity that ensued. It was hilarious.
As funny as this headline.
Gas. Nice drink, you can get it in.
Shut the fuck up about dilute.
Blackcurrant.
It must be something shit. Nothing good's been going on in Myanmar for a very long time.
Well, in 2011 they got rid of their military-led government and Aung San Suu Kyi.
Is that why I've heard so much in the news about them shitting on Muslims just because they don't have the government that the US wants, is it?
I'm really not sure about who the US wants and I'm very interested to know in this situation, like when any coup happens around the world. So
yeah, I'm being semi-flippant, but
they did have like I said, military government for years. After the British left in I think around the 60s, they've had military-led government until 2011. Then Aung San Suu Kyi, you'd recognise, the Nobel Peace Prize winning woman.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. She's in jail or something, isn't she?
Well, she's back in now because basically the military took back over.
Oh.
So they led a coup. The best video of it though is there's this woman who does an aerobics video. Like there's a big massive road that leads up to the government, but she's not facing out to the road, so she's doing her dancing. She does this live stream, giving it the whole aerobic exercise thing.
Coup happens behind.
Yeah, all these big military trucks start they kitted out Sudans and stuff, not tanks or anything, but they all start rolling up, and she just continuing the whole way through, and it wasn't staged, like she always does it there,
yeah.
So I thought that was gas.
That is, I like to hear my coup news through TikTok.
Yeah. So yeah, a bit worried about Myanmar. Interested, like you said, about what's really going on. Because straight away, all the Western governments are like, oh, we don't like this, Which I don't know enough about Myanmar. But in my experience with countries I'm more familiar with, that almost always means the only one thing that the government is coming in that they don't like.
Yeah.
So it's up in the air. Aung San Suu Kyi gets a lot of Nobel Peace Prizes and stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's the business. But from what I've seen, and from the small bit I looked into it this week, it actually does seem on the face of it that the government that was there before was good.
Yeah.
What the military are saying is that it was voter fraud because they had votes in November and they were just saying massive irregularities.
So they're doing what the states wish they could do.
Pretty much.
God damn it, Trump supporters, we need more SUVs.
Less fat dads. More SUVs.
Yeah.
So yeah, wishing all our Myanmar listeners well. Yeah, we got a couple in Bangkok. Shout out to our Bangkok listener. I think it's just one. But yeah, loads in the States. Northwestern United States. These are legends. We got a lot of listeners up there. Shout out. And Sweden and Norway.
Go on, the boys.
Right, so
one of the headlines we have left is Forever Young. Does that have anything to do with a Korean anti-aging technique that they've discovered?
no, it's to do with Nazis.
So what I seen last week, didn't get around to it, didn't have time, but and it was also complicated science stuff.
So you're gonna rehash it now?
No, they basically figured out how to reverse the process of aging. Like, you know, these cells just naturally age. They managed to 100% turn that around in someone's skin, and they reckon they'll be able to reproduce that process for every cell in their body. So they literally think they're like on the verge of turning around aging.
They are definitely trying to kill us with COVID then.
yeah.
Like, seriously, if we're gonna live forever, it's not gonna be the poor people.
Oh my! I've always said I'd love to like just get like a snapshot of like 200 years in the future or further. But imagine you do that in 200 years in the future. There's just like a 24-year-old Bill Gates. You know what I mean? Like winning Mr. Olympia. You know, because he figured out how to reverse aging, and
Yeah.
you know, they were right to be worried.
No, so Forever Young is a former secretary of a Nazi concentration camp, is being tried in a juvenile court, even though
She was a juvenile at the time.
even though she's 95.
Excellent.
So
How
Yeah.
old was she when she worked as a secretary?
it doesn't say. There's
What?
because she's it's technically a juvenile crime. Even the information of her is being withheld.
Really? Yeah.
I got her name and stuff from like a German one.
This seems like so. Like I'm not here to defend Nazis, right? Just let that one hang for a second.
Yeah.
You know he's going to say something shocking, right? But like that was just a bit of a waste of time. 95-year-old woman, you know.
Absolutely, and she was just the secretary. She was the stenographer and the secretary. So the stenographer is someone who takes the notes at the minutes meeting,
Yeah.
and she was that for the head of the camp. But like, I completely agree with you. Like, obviously, you know, terrible crimes and stuff. But if you're locking up the secretary of the camp, like, she didn't know she was gonna go. She probably, when she signed up, she was underage.
Especially for a
So
juvenile.
like, she's a kid, like a
Yeah.
teenager. So she technically, like, she's a victim of the Nazi regime.
Mm.
Like, I know that she was fucking, you know, became the secretary or whatever, but
She's not the number one victim of it, but
it's kind of like let sleeping dogs lie. You know what I mean?
definitely. And like if she's a teenager or whatever, this is her government and all the establishment around her is doing. You know that
She
kind
thought
of way.
she,
Like,
that's what I meant when she's like she's a victim of the Nazis as well. Like, she was born into the Nazi regime.
yeah.
She's like, oh, I'll get a nice job in
Mm.
the government. You know what I mean? Like, which lots of people would have done at the time. What I think, right? If you were gonna retroactively punish people, you're talking about the people who turned on the showers, the people who fired the guns. Those I could, you know, I mean, I don't understand prosecution, but this just seems like there was another one recently where they did get a male soldier, and I think he was more directly involved. But even though he got sentenced, but then he's too old and frail to do anything about it. So,
Mm.
you know, it's a strange one, to be honest.
Yeah, just like that, like 25-year-old woman. Now she must, if she was a teenager at the time, she must be like the last person that you can fucking charge for this. You know what I mean? Everyone's right on the edge of it.
But they only started doing these in 2010. They
Yeah.
couldn't have been doing this ages ago. You know what I mean?
In Israel, they've been hunting.
Yeah.
They've been hunting Nazis for years. Like, there's a good documentary on it, The Devil Next Door. It's about this. I think I don't think he was German. I think he might have been like Polish or whatever. But he ended up working for the Nazis, and he worked in a concentration camp. And he was fucking known as Ivan the Terrible or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen it.
But yeah, like, so he just, you know, had a whole life in America, a couple of kids, nobody knew about it, and then it turns out he was like, he enjoyed fucking like cutting fucking cunts' arms off and all. Like, he's like the worst person you can imagine in this sort of camp, you know.
Yeah.
But and to be fair to the Israelis, they gave him a fucking fair trial. Like, they found him not guilty on the first one just because of lack of evidence, you know.
He's the perfect example. Go after him until he's 195.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, it's just a juvenile secretary. I just thought it was a bit, a bit odd. So I agree with you.
You know what I was only thinking the other day? You know they're called neo-Nazis these days?
Yeah.
And like neo is just the Latin word for new, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem that much new about them. They still hate Jews. They still hate blacks. You know what I mean? Like gay people. What's new about them?
I don't know. Let's write to them and ask. Excuse me, fellas. Can I ask about your policies?
Yeah, answers on a postcard, please, Neo.
Right, let's keep it on track here.
In your eyeballs, please.
Sure. So there was this 9-year-old girl.
This is going to be rotten. Go ahead.
No, you just expect or want it to be. I don't know.
Nothing good ever happens with the eyeballs.
There was this 9-year-old girl. She was arrested. There was something going on
in America.
There was a domestic dispute going on, and she ends up. She's in America, obviously.
Of course.
Handcuffed.
Dangerous ass children they have over there.
Yeah, so she's 9, handcuffed in the police car with, on my count, I didn't see every angle, but there was 8 police officers around the car, and then she was, going mad. You know what I mean? Like, I want me dad and all. She started saying, and
sure she wasn't like, fuck you, cops, you can't keep me.
She wasn't even cursing, but she was definitely like, I'd say she wasn't happy about being handcuffed. Let's put it like that. So yeah, this girl's arrested, and then the police are there, and there's one female officer on the girl's side of the back seat, and then there's a male police officer on the other side. And the female officer was like, "Come on, I'm gonna have to pepper spray, and I don't want it, so sit back. Come on, this is your last chance. Otherwise, pepper spray is going in your eyeballs."
They didn't pepper spray the girl, did
Come
they?
on, let's go, an officer says. And then the girl says, "I want my dad." The sobbing girl pleads. The video isn't great, that's why I'll read it out. So the girl says, "I want my dad." The girl sobs and pleads. The officer says, "I'm gonna go get him. I will fix it," talking about the handcuffs. And then the other officer joins in, asking the girl, "Just stop for a second and take a deep breath." The girl's heard screaming, "Please, no, stop." Then the male officer takes out a spray can and points it in the girl's face. "It went into my eyes, please," the girl yells.
Oh my god.
As the officer is heard telling his colleague, I got her.
Fuck off.
He then closes the car door from the outside, steps away from the vehicle and lets out a sigh, and he calmly adds, "Unbelievable." Like, she was unbelievable. Like, I can't believe I was forced to pepper spray her.
Yeah, she didn't just calm down as soon as I asked her. You know?
Yeah.
Is this guy not women at all? Jesus Christ.
That video's available on our Instagram.
Fucking hell. And
it's just wild.
Just like, first of all, to handcuff a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
I think it's damn straight. Then to have her in the back of the car and then think that pepper spray is necessary. Is pepper spray in the car, did they?
Yeah.
Why did they have to let it air out for half an hour before they drove her back?
No, they closed the doors.
Like, your car is going to be full of...
That's what I mean, the girl can't even get away from it. She's left in a fucking hot box of pepper spray.
Oh my god, was she black?
I think so, yeah.
So it must be causing... Like, if you're going to fucking... If I was going to protest for George Floyd, I'll protest for this little girl.
I'm not sure. No, there has been protests.
You just wouldn't. They wouldn't do
There
that
has
to
been
a white girl.
protests.
They
I haven't
would
seen...
would not do that to a white girl.
I'm not 100% that she was black, because her face was blurred and then with clothes and stuff on.
Right.
But...
she was at least poor, let me put that on.
Yeah, she was Puerto Rican.
That's why they call them Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, I put the poor on Puerto Rican. So yeah, another nice story of the police in America.
What sort of training do they do? Like, you know, when the Americans get notoriously short training, like
6 weeks or
like
something.
8 weeks or something. Like Norway, it's a 4-year degree. But
of all the things to have a degree for, police officers should be top of the list.
But you know what it seems like? It's
like
like
marketing executive, you know what I mean? Like, I'll wing that, like.
But it seems like they're... Yeah, what's the worst damage you could do? Like, your company doesn't make a bit of money, but your copy pepper spray 9-year-olds. Did you have a good day at work, Bill? Fucking nightmare of a 9-year-old. You wouldn't believe it. That's a pepper spray, the bitch. I love you.
He's like, I've only got half a can left.
What was I going to say? But you know, they're training them in. It's like with coronavirus testing, that they only like taught, like, this is how you approach a male between the ages of 22 and 35. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like one answer to everything, like handcuff them, put them in the back, if they still giving you shit pepper spray, you know what I mean?
I-
What if it's a 9-year-old girl, sir? Shut up, Johnson. We don't have time for that. Your life's in danger.
It's not even like that. They got punching bags up with like, the shape of 9-year-olds. You know, just so they're used to hitting that size of a target.
But no, you know,
Good Johnson, now give her a shin kick.
you don't these.
Protect and serve. And they just keep saying it while they do reps on the body bag.
Good job, Johnson, but you avoided the neck area. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, when she's passed out, you give her a karate chop in the neck. That will bring the situation under control.
I was going to say, you know, you see on TV where they're doing their shooting training, and when they do it, it's like you have civilians popping up as well as the bad guys, you know. But like they use the exact same thing they used 20 years ago. But now when the 9-year-old girl pops up, it's like, get her. You know, everyone's a target.
It's that Simpsons joke, you know, where Marge Simpson is doing the course and she does it perfect, or like you think it's perfect, and then Chief Wiggum comes up and says, "You missed the baby, you missed the old woman with the stroller." It's like, once again, Simpsons predicted it, man.
That exactly, yeah.
Well, I think that stuff was happening at the same time.
I just love the minds, let's say, like, sorry to just like keep sitting on it.
Go.
See 9-year-olds a threat, you know?
Yeah.
What was the call for? What did they call to the house for?
There was 8 police officers there. You know what I mean? 8. All standing around
all fighting the pepper spray.
Yeah, like
no, the promotion's mine.
You know I have to empty this can before the end of the month. I know I made a separate joke saying they weren't allowed to empty their can, but we will allow it. And what did she get arrested for? Good question.
What would they call the house for?
I think it was a domestic dispute.
We got a 9-year-old's birthday party. There's more than 6 9-year-olds in that bouncy castle. Get them.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Hope it was COVID related. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At least she didn't get COVID.
She wasn't even wearing her mask. Crazy bitch. What did the pepper spray did her in? Oh. So that's why I said you did leave out hook. Like I was like, hopefully they just threatened to pepper spray this little girl. But then I was like, you know, little part of me wanted to, just because there's something masochistic about me that just loves to see America, just how far it goes. Like there's nowhere else would even pepper spray a 15-year-old. You know what I mean? Like a 15-year-old fucking lad. Never mind a fucking 9-year-old. It's just.
They're gonna start now.
I just love it. Like, just not the word love.
I was picturing how far the cops could go. Like, and it's like, imagine there was a woman just about to give birth who was being a little rowdy. Like, as soon as she gives birth, they pepper spray the baby.
Wouldn't stop crying. We told her to just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Gas.
Keeping you safe.
Thanks for the good laugh anyway. She should get a fucking massive payout from that though.
Yeah, hopefully. That'd be worth it.
Big time. Big time.
It seemed like some proper trauma, to be fair. So,
yeah.
Hopefully she gets a lot.
Who doesn't have a little childhood trauma? You know what I mean? Like you get diddled by your uncle and get nothing. Pepper sprayed by a cop and get millions.
Can't we have both?
Thanks for putting a little extra joke in there. I was like, that was just dark. Right, what have we got left?
We have. Sorry, the topics left are one last case, 51st State, and I Spy.
I'm going to have to go with 51st State just because I love the film with Samuel L. Jackson.
Great film.
Do you remember it?
Great film.
That's what it's called, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that where this comes from?
Kind of. I struggle real hard with this one to think of a name.
So fill us in.
Probably the most ambiguous.
I don't think there's a film from the mid-2000s with Sam Jackson where he goes to the UK with some magic wonder drug and wears a kilt. It's a hoot.
Yeah. He says motherfucker a few times, you know. It's got all everything you need. So that's not exactly close, like it's not really related to what I'm about to present.
Just tell us what the story is.
So there's a proposal being put forward in Nevada that would mean that companies of a certain size can set up their own local governments.
What does that mean?
It's basically like the last time this has really been done was like the Dutch East Indian Company, the British East Indian Company.
That went real well.
Exactly. Yeah, what it means is they'll be able to write down laws, like everything. They'll literally, their workers' rights.
They already are essentially their own. We don't have countries anymore, we have corporations, and countries have like to step down from corporations, where they try keep them in check. Because corporations are like, the biggest corporations make most of the money. We don't have traditional industries anymore, like steel and things like that, and I don't know much about the economy, but, like just said earlier how much Apple made in one fucking year, that's a hell of a lot more than any country makes.
How much tax are they going to make if they write their own fucking tax laws?
How much are they going to pay? Would they even pay it? Would they supersede from the States or whatever it's called? Like, would they no longer be US citizens, or it'd be a Google citizen?
No, it would be like, I think it's like county laws. So like, the county in American states have their own laws.
So it just gives them the right to just ignore any law they want. Because we haven't wrote that law for ourselves.
Exactly.
How would a company be fucking... It's basically letting them be self-regulatory.
Yeah. But it's going to attract investment.
Oh, we need so much more investment.
But the example that you mind, there's a guy called, for anyone living in Nevada, it's Democratic Governor Steve Sisolak. Sisolak. Pronounce whatever the fuck you want. So the example that he used, because there's one company who's already going to sign up for it, is blockchains. They're... what the fuck are they again? It literally doesn't matter, because they're already based in Nevada. The one example that he used was of a company that's already based in Nevada, because he's talking about attracting companies.
No, it's about attracting more investment, and the only way to attract more investment is if there's potential for more profit. And like, it seems like half companies, it's like they squeeze that like every drop they can, some of them. So it's like, how do we expand even more? And it's like, oh well, what if we didn't have to pay any tax? You know what I mean? Like, This is what they're doing now. They're just trying to...
Everything, like environmental laws, everything, they just don't, they won't have...
That's where the next world war is going to happen. You're going to have axes of evil. It'll be Google, Apple, and their soldiers against fucking, you know what I mean, Huawei and fucking something else.
That'd be deadly.
All the child soldiers.
Yeah. No, it's much better than fucking digging for cobalt. So, yeah, that's just being put forward. Obviously, it's a few more steps before it gets anywhere near actually ratified. But an interesting door to open, because obviously if Nevada was to pass it, everyone will start passing it. And then you get to the stage where even Ireland is passing laws where US companies could come in and set up their own little fucking counties.
It would become irrelevant. Once Nevada does it, then all the companies just have to put P.O. Box there and say that's where they're based. You know what I mean? And then
no. There's laws to it.
Right, but say it even becomes the US just does it. Ireland doesn't need to pass that law, because then Apple in Ireland, maybe the EU will have different laws that you need to abide by the EU laws, but they will try to say like, well, here we're our own country, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Do you want our business? You can do it, but follow our laws.
Definitely gives them more bargaining power when they are going to set up somewhere else. You're like, well, Nevada's letting us do whatever the fuck we want. What are you going to do for us?
Can they just make child labour legal then? 16-year-olds have dainty little fingers, or 6-year-olds have dainty little fingers that we need to.
They could, but it'd be a PR disaster, so they wouldn't. And that's literally the only reason they wouldn't. Like, don't get me wrong, they'd do whatever they could. But no, there's some laws to it. You need 78 square miles of undeveloped, uninhabited land within a single county, but separate from any city or town. Companies would have at least 250 million and plans to invest an additional 1 billion in their zones over 10 years, which sounds like a lot, but the sort of companies that are going to be doing this are mega rich, the tax savings that they would make from $1 billion,
it's like,
would be stupidly, like they'd definitely, well, they wouldn't do it if they weren't going to profit out of it. You know what I mean?
But this is what happens when you have like free market globalization, is that they're so desperate to get any company to settle. You see it in Ireland, like, we're so desperate to have Apple around here that we'll go to the European court with Apple to try argue against them owing us any tax.
13 billion they owed us, for anyone who doesn't know, and the Irish government fought for Apple to not receive that tax.
We spent millions of Irish taxpayer money for our lawyers to go with Apple's lawyers to the European court to say, whoa, we don't want this 13 billion. Slow your roll there, Europe.
Yeah, there's only 4 million people in Ireland. Like, 13 billion is a lot of fucking change.
And it's fuck all to Apple.
Yeah.
Like, I made 111 billion last 3 months. Like, drop in the ocean. That's what just pisses me off. The money that's
Think
flowing
of
around.
the shareholders, man, the hedge funds that lose money if Apple was to not get that money. Think of them, man. Won't somebody please think of the hedge funds?
The shareholders.
So yeah,
Best of luck with that, Nevada.
Wait and see how that goes. It sounds pretty cool. It could end up like Mad Max shit, you know.
Out in the desert.
Setting up Thunderdomes instead of like those cool offices. They could have Thunderdomes for the workers who don't quite meet the standards.
I like it, yeah. I just want to set up a union, do you? Just right in here, we're going to have to vote in the Thunderdome. Yeah, it sounds like a great proposal there, Sislak. Best of luck with it. And hopefully your corporate donors will get you to the White House soon.
So we got one more. One's from the UK, one's from the United States.
We'll leave one last case for last, just because it fits nicely, and we'll go with I Spy.
I Spy with my little eye. So you heard the story of Harry Dunn, the guy in the UK who was killed when he was hit by a US woman whose husband works for the CIA. So she was over here. So she killed this guy who was on a motorbike. And I think it was a motorbike. It was just.
She was driving the wrong way down the road.
Yeah, that's the key piece of information here. She was driving the wrong side of the road. She just come out of a military base, killed him. So she left and went back to America. You know, it was under diplomatic immunity. She was allowed to leave, but then they said that she didn't technically have diplomatic immunity. Only her husband did. Yeah,
because when it first came out, they said that she was part of the intelligence services. Now it was like, oh, she's actually only just a wife. So she doesn't have that immunity.
But that's the point of the story, is they've come out and said she's part of the CIA now. She is part of the intelligence community. So I didn't know that they originally said that, because from what I've read, that was never said before.
Possibly no, because this is a while ago.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Stories,
I don't think so. I think what I'd read this week from catching back up on it was that from the start they said she didn't work for them. I think she said she might have had some role, but it wasn't something that would be covered under diplomatic immunity.
She's friends with Matthew Broderick, I think was her immunity, you know.
Yeah.
So see that Matthew Broderick killed 2 people in Northern Ireland in a car crash years ago. Google it.
Got away with it. Snaky boy. So yeah, she's Biden's already come out and said that they won't extradite her. You know, Pompeo had already said it in for Trump. So she wasn't getting extradited anyway, but now they've come out and said that. It just seems like it was just out of nowhere. So like even the family's like, because the British government said to the family, she's not part of the intelligence community,
right? And
now they're saying she is, and I think it's just to get the heat off, like.
Say so, yeah. We'll just give her a contract or something, and just from the start it was like, yeah, we're just not get over it to the family, pretty much, like. But that's it. No justice, nothing, like.
For anyone who's not fully aware what diplomatic immunity is, it's when government officials work in other countries, they can't be prosecuted, but in the true heart of the meaning of it is so that you're not like falsely accused of something and you get arrested and it's for political means. It's not meant to mean that you can just commit any crime you want and
murder someone
in a different country. Exactly. That's just normal day-to-day laws that she's after breaking, and she's just completely taking advantage of that law to
and from what layman's terms I know about diplomatic immunity, I think in the spirit of it, it was originally. It was like 100 years ago, each country could have very different laws. Like, you know, I mean, go to India and have some religious thing about don't fucking cross the street here, or don't stare at a car, you know what I mean? Like, whatever it is, little things like that, just so they'd be given a pass, you know. But now everyone has the same laws pretty much, you know. We all become standardised, basically.
In any country, you can't run someone over and get away with it, like. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I don't even think she waited for the cops. I think she's just fucking late. I think she'd be hit and run as well, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong with that now.
She didn't even bother. I think she got out of the car, pepper sprayed them, and then drove off.
Tell us it's America.
So yeah, she's a cunt. Feel really bad for the family, but it is what it is.
Especially like it's hard to you lose a family member in a car crash. It's tough.
But to know who did it.
But then that's someone very much at fault, driving the wrong way in the fucking road.
Yeah.
You know, and then to get no sniff of justice. Because the last I actually heard about that, I was surprised that the UK was that they had given them some positive indication that they were gonna attempt extradition. Or I think they might even put the filing in, but maybe that's why the US has now come out and after the filing came in, oh no, actually she can't.
It makes it easier, because Biden comes out and says that he's not going to do it. just like the Trump government did.
Mm.
So it just makes it easier. It stops all questions now.
At least things are different now.
Yeah. I've seen as well people got caught as well taking fuckloads of coke in their diplomatic immunity bags.
They're actually bags.
Well, like you'd have like a briefcase,
Yeah.
you know, and you've got secret documents in it, so it's not allowed to be checked. People got caught fucking. I can't remember which country or whatever.
Of course you would, like.
Yeah.
Nobody has like a higher moral compass than another person. Once you have to possibly like, you know what I mean? If you're regularly flying different countries and you know your bag's not getting checked, like I'm throwing some coke in there. Like,
Yeah,
I don't even like coke.
That's it. Yeah, you're like I might as well. It'd be silly of me not to.
Yeah. Colombia again, Johnson.
Right. So to finish up, one last case.
He was 2 days away from retirement. Please tell me some black cop died 2 days away from retirement.
I don't know why you said black. No,
Because Lethal Weapon. That's where that joke comes from.
Right, yeah. Now I get you.
Mel Gibson's black.
He's like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. That's what a lot of people don't know. Danny Glover actually played Mel Gibson, and Mel Gibson actually played Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon. It's a little Easter egg for the true fans.
You have to really look closely.
Yeah. No, so we got Jack Palladino, 76, is a private investigator. Worked for such people as Bill Clinton, Courtney Love, Harvey Weinstein.
So he's found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the face, was he?
No. I'm not sure if there's anything shady about it. It's up for debate. But what happened was, so he's a private investigator, but he was outside his house and he had his camera around his neck, and someone drove by and tried to rip it off, and he ended up falling over and hitting his head.
Ah, fuck's sake.
Yeah. But what he did manage to do was get a picture of him
No way.
before he died, so they were able to track them down from his own picture.
No way. That's
So
pretty cool.
it was like his job for his whole life. So even his wife was like, "Oh, I would have fucking loved that. You know, would have loved to know that he caught the killers."
Why do he always have a camera around his neck? Just he's that sort of detective. You know what I mean? Is it Polaroid
How do I
camera?
answer that question? Like,
Just who has cameras these days? Like everyone has one on their phone or something. Like
I don't know. Even like people who are taking proper pictures have a decent old camera,
Right,
like
I see.
you know. But so what he doing for Bill Clinton and stuff was, like he smoothed it out when shit happened. He smoothed it out, like with Courtney Love, and it was with when she was being accused of killing Kurt Cobain. He handled the media. He like I don't know how, but you know, not necessarily a nice guy. You know, he was smoothing it out. Getting evidence on other people and blackmailing them to stop this or that. And with Monica Lewinsky, he was the main guy trying to do damage control for that. Obviously Harvey Weinstein, we all know about him. So he's definitely an interesting character, and I don't think anything untoward happened, but like he's in that circle for something untoward to happen to him, you know.
Well, Clinton body count just got another.
Yeah. He's definitely been added to the Clinton body count. There's definitely some people there, but it doesn't seem that hard to get onto hashtag Clinton body count.
Yeah, it's a rough way to go. Just getting reefed by the neck
Yeah,
down to the ground.
it's not very nice story.
No, but none of your stories were, so that's grand.
I must have one good story, though. There's nowhere to go. She got out alive, but that's why she still had to stay.
Forever young, a 95-year-old getting fucked up. Kid killed in a baptism.
What do you mean fucked up?
She's gonna go to jail for
Yeah, but
6 months.
I don't know. It's not how I would describe that story.
I'm looking. I have a narrative here to paint tight.
What about Screech dying?
I forgot that was nice.
It's not all bad news. Yeah.
They're doing a remake of Saved by the Bell as well. I wonder was he like?
He wasn't involved in it. They had done subsequent series, but he wasn't going to be involved in the new one.
Right. Actually, because I think they'd done a reboot before, and I think he was involved in that. If I'm not mistaken, he was a gym teacher or something.
He was, yeah.
So I'd say he's like, fuck this, I'm sticking to porn. Well, yeah, it was an interesting week. Like I said, I was taking the piss saying a lot of not negative, but
I was making a negative out of it.
no, so we had a good laugh this week anyway.
Yeah, well, it got a little dark, but nothing wrong with a bit of dark humour.
You know us by now. Dark shit happens every week, and that's the best part of my day. So please, America, keep pepper spraying your 9-year-olds.
Yeah, just America, keep doing you. That's what I'd say.
Yes, that's our episode for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember, we're on Instagram, the What Did I Miss podcast, and on YouTube. And give us a follow or like on whatever platform you're listening on. Be much appreciated. And
Tell your friends.
please do. Hope you have a good week. We'll chat to you next week.
See you.